Have you ever found yourself wondering why the once mighty AAA gaming industry has started to feel like a sinking ship in recent years? I mean, seriously. Think about it. We're talking about multi-million-dollar projects, blockbuster titles, and some of the most hyped releases in the history of gaming. So why does it sometimes feel like we're being handed a half-baked experience? In this video, we're going to uncover the mysteries behind the AAA gaming industry's recent struggles, and this is going to be an eye-opening ride. Let's start with something that's been really grinding my gears lately. Incomplete games that are supposedly fixed post-launch. You know, those titles that hit us with a barrage of bugs at launch, making us wonder if they were even play-tested. I mean, seriously, remember the mess that was Cyberpunk 2077? It had even more bugs than The Matrix. And stability issues? Forget about it. It crashed more times than a noob in a high-stakes match. Then we've got games like Redfall and The Lord of the Rings, Gollum, promising epic adventures, but what do we get? Games that we could not play, due to missing shaders, a total bug fest, and let's not even talk about optimization. These games run like a three-legged horse in quicksand. It's infuriating. So here's the deal, game developers. If you're gonna promise us the world, at least give us a playable game first. Speaking about playable games, let's talk about something that really stings. Games that were overpromised and then underdelivered post-launch. Let's go down the memory lane a bit. Remember the hype train for The Order 1886? Sure, it had pretty visuals, but it was filled with cutscenes and felt more like a tech demo than an actual game. All style and no substance. And how about Battlefield 2042? We paid full price for a multiplayer-only experience, and what did we get? Missing scoreboards and servers that couldn't handle the load. It's like they launched an unfinished product and expected us to be cool with it. Then there's Crime Boss, Rocky City. What a joke! They paraded a star-studded cast of actors, but it seemed like they couldn't care less about delivering their lines with enthusiasm. The writing was horrendous, and it felt like a watered-down version of a Payday game. Not the epic crime saga they promised. It's like they pulled an April Fool's joke in the middle of the year. Honestly, it's frustrating when developers hype up a game and then serve us disappointment on a silver platter. We gamers deserve better, and it's time they started delivering on their promises. This brings us to a sore spot that's been driving us mad. Games stuck in development hell, or just endlessly delayed. Take Ubisoft's Beyond Good and Evil 2 for instance. They officially announced it in 2010. Hyped us with a flashy trailer at E3 2017, and then what? The game director even bailed in 2020, and we're left clueless about what's happening. It's like they're playing with our emotions. And speaking of Ubisoft, what's up with Skull and Bones? It sounded like a spin-off of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, an open-world pirate game. They've been teasing us with beta tests for ages, but this thing was announced 6 years ago at E3. Can't they set sail already? But wait, there's more disappointment. Rockstar's Agent. They dropped the bomb in July 2007, promising us a Cold War stealth game, but what did they do? Cancelled it. It's like they've left us hanging in the Cold War era forever. Something similar happened with The Last of Us multiplayer, when the whole industry lamented its cancellation. Honestly, it's frustrating as hell when these companies keep teasing us with games and then leave us in the dark. We gamers have waited long enough. It's time they deliver the goods. And we've got to talk about the absolute mess that's been the state of PC ports recently. We actually covered this nightmare in our recent video. You can find the link down in the description. But there's more to add to the list of PC port disasters. Hogwarts Legacy, for example, came with FPS issues, stuttering in the middle of cutscenes, and glitches that made it feel like we were brewing potions blindfolded. And remember Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection? Well, it won't even run on some high-end PCs unless you've got a CPU that supports AVX2. They added that requirement later, but the chaos at launch is something we can never forget. If you want the full scoop on these and more, we highly recommend checking out our in-depth video where we dive into The Last of Us 1 Remake, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Starfield, and even last year's Game of the Year, Elden Ring. Trust me, it's a wild ride you wouldn't want to miss. Let me divert your attention to the absolute madness of those $70 price tags on video games. I mean, seriously, it's getting out of control and it's affecting the whole gaming landscape. Take Sony's exclusives, for instance. They're locking some of their games behind that steep price point, and it's hurting their sales big time. Players aren't stopping themselves from buying games, but they're definitely becoming more selective. According to a report, gamers who spend on Sony exclusives are less likely to buy third-party titles. That's almost 40 million lost sales right there. Sony got away with it for Spider-Man 2 and Nintendo for Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. But what about games like Gotham Knights and the Callisto Protocol? Don't even get me started on the hot mess that is Forspoken. It's like they're pricing themselves out of our gaming libraries. And it's time for a reality check. Here's something we already knew. The dreaded microtransactions in video games, and this comes right after we've discussed those outrageous $70 price tags. It's like they're trying to nickel and dime us at every turn. Take NBA 2K and EA Sports FC for example. These games already cost us a pretty penny, but they're stuffed with virtual currency, loot boxes and subscriptions, and don't even get me started on the indirect predatory pay-to-win hints. If you don't pay extra, you're left struggling to compete against others. And what about GTA 5? Rockstar added those shark cards into the mix, and it messed up the in-game economy big time. They jacked up the prices of everything from cars to clothing and intentionally lowered mission payouts just to make those shark cards more tempting. It's like they're milking us dry. Even in single-player games like Assassin's Creed, they've got costumes and skins locked behind Helix currencies that cost a small fortune. It's time for these game companies to cut it out and give us a fair deal. Welcome to the era of modern-day gaming where games are a fest of jaw-dropping visuals but mediocre gameplay mechanics. It's like they're putting style over substance, and it's driving us crazy. The Callisto Protocol, for instance, marketed as the spiritual successor to Dead Space and developed by ex-Dead Space veterans, it boasts stunning, lifelike graphics with impressive ray tracing. But here's the kicker, it has some of the worst combat we've ever seen. Not to mention performance issues and bugs that make you want to throw your controller. Swapping weapons? Forget about it! Dodging? More like a death wish, especially in a melee-focused game. And then there's Scorn. Visually, it's hellishly beautiful. The environment, the ambiance, and even the music are spot on. But when it comes to gameplay, it's just a confusing, frustrating mess with a story as vague as a cryptic riddle. Are these games just teasing us with their eye candy? Or is there something more lurking beneath the surface? Not a trip into a dark side of the gaming industry that needs some serious attention. Crunch culture in game development. It's a topic that makes you wonder about the toll it takes on both developers and the games we love. Remember Naughty Dog during the Uncharted 4 development? As per John Schreier, employees were pulling all-nighters and working through weekends to meet deadlines. Uncharted 4 turned out great, but at what cost? And The Last of Us was exceptional too, but many devs left Naughty Dog due to burnout, leaving us to question the price of excellence. And what about Rockstar? In a Kotaku report, employees talked about working 55 to 60 hours a week, 6 days a week, with endless overtime. It's like they're pushing their teams to the brink. Activision's Treyarch went through a significant crunch for Call of Duty, Black Ops 4. And quality assurance testers were working insane hours for peanuts. We loved Telltale Games, but they had to shut down in 2018, leaving multiple projects cancelled. They recently made a comeback with The Expanse, but layoffs last month have us worried about The Wolf Among Us 2. And let's not forget about the infamous case of Cyberpunk 2077. Where employees revolted against CDPR's crunch culture. And we all saw the mess it was at launch. So here's the question. How does this culture affect the games we cherish? And what can we do to support developers who deserve better? It's time we tackle a topic that's been eating at me. The lack of innovation in modern-day video games. Seriously! Have you noticed how we're drowning in a sea of first-person shooters, massive open-world RPGs, and endless battle royales? It's like everyone's copying the same template for success, and it's getting old. I mean, Ubisoft in their open-world formula, Sony's cinematic world-building and first-party games. Where's the innovation, folks? Call of Duty keeps churning out the same first-person shooters, and don't even get me started on the yearly FIFA, Madden, and NBA 2K updates. They charge us for minor tweaks, and when games like Elden Ring and Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom come along, showing the industry that innovation is alive and well, what do we get in response? People calling it madness. But let me tell you gamers, we shouldn't accept mediocrity as the industry standard. Remember games like Portal, Metal Gear Solid 5, and those incredible indies? They're proof that innovation can still thrive. So here's the real question. Are we settling for the same old, or are we demanding more from the industry that we love? And finally, let's talk about the elephant in the room. These online-only restrictions in video games. Seriously, have you ever wondered why some developers are pushing this nonsense on us? Take Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, for example. It's a co-op action game with legendary voice performances. But here's the catch. It's online only, even if you're playing solo. And then there's Bethesda's Redfall, another online-only disaster. Unlike the masterpiece that is Left 4 Dead, Payday 3 made the same mistake, even after so many examples to learn from. Can't these companies grasp that not all of us are online 24/7? We're not always connected, and our games shouldn't force us to be. I get it. Piracy is a concern, but shoving DRM down our throats without ensuring game optimization is a crime. As we come to the end of this video, we've dived deep into the realm of modern-day gaming. But what's your take on modern gaming? And do you agree with the points we've raised? Let us know your views in the comments section below. Watch the video on why modern PC gaming absolutely sucks. It's been shown on the screen. If you liked this one, hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more game explainers. Till then, adios.